Hello everyone. Before we start our class, may I request all to stand so we can have our prayer. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Okay, students, I have three questions for you. First one is, how do you see yourself 20 years from now? Okay. The second question is, what will you do to achieve your goal? And the third question is, if your future doesn't go as planned, what will you do? Will you move something? And okay, so now that you have already have a way of improving, let us have our class objectives. Okay? Everyone, please read it with me. So at the end of the lessons, the learners are expected to distinguish active voice from passive voice, transform active voice to passive voice, and vice versa, and create a dialogue or play using active voice and passive voice. And for our next activity, it will be given to you by Miss Angelique Grace. So give her a applause, everyone.
Hi, good day everyone. Now that we already have an idea of what we're going to be having after 20 years, let us now read a short story that will be titled After 20 Years by Footnote. But before that, you need to be close attention and how the sentences are structured. You should be paying close attention to who is doing the action and who or what is receiving the action. And you should highlight any sentences that seem interesting to you based on the following on what action is happening and the structure of the sentence that it is different from the others. Actually, you need to write those sentences and highlight that you should be familiarized on who is doing the action and what or who also is receiving the action. So now we will be going to read this short story that is entitled After 20 Years by O. Henry. And I want everyone to read it with me to revise slowly. So are you ready?
After 20 years by O. Henry. The cop moved along the street looking strong and important. This was the way he always moved. He was not thinking of how he looked. There were few people on the street to see him. It was only about 10 at night, but it was cold and there was a wind with a little rain in it. He stopped at doors as he walked along, trying each door to be sure that it was closed for the night. Now and then he turned and looked up and down to the street. He was a fine-looking cop, watchful, guarding the peace. People in this part of the city went home early. Now and then, you might see the lights of a shop or of a small restaurant, but most of the doors belonged to business places that had been closed hours ago. Then the cop suddenly slowed his walk. Near the door of a darkened shop, a man was standing. As the cop walked toward him, the man spoke quickly. "It's all right, officer," he said. "I'm waiting for a friend. 20 years ago, we agreed to meet here tonight. It sounds strange to you, doesn't it? I'll explain to be sure that everything's all right. About 20 years ago, there was a restaurant where the shop stands. Big Jew Brothers restaurant. It was here until 5 years ago," said the cop. The man near the door had a colorless square face with bright eyes and a little white mark near his right eye. He had a large jewel in his necktie. 20 years ago tonight," said the man, "I had a dinner here with Jimmy Wells. He was my best friend and the best fellow in this world. He and I grew up together in New York like two brothers. I was 18 and Jimmy was 20 also. The next morning, I was to start for the West. I was going to find a job and make a great success. You couldn't have pulled Jimmy out of New York. He thought it was the only place on earth. We agreed that night that we would meet here again in 20 years. We thought that in 20 years we would know what kind of men we were and what future waited for us. It sounds interesting, said the cop. A long time between meetings, it seems to me. Have you heard from your friends since you went west? Yes, for a time we did write to each other, said the man. But after a year or two, we stopped the West speak. I moved around everywhere. I moved quickly. But I know that Jimmy will meet me here if he can. He was as true as any man in the world. He'll never forget. I came 1,000 miles to stand here tonight, but I'll be glad about it if my old friend comes too. The waiting man took out a fine watch covered with small jewels. 3 minutes before 10, he said. It was 10 that night when we said goodbye here at the restaurant door. You were successful in the West, weren't you? Said the cop. I surely was. I hope Jimmy had done half as well. He was a slow mover. I've had to fight for my success. In New York, a man doesn't change much. In the West, you learn how to fight for what you get. The cop took a step or two. I'll go on my way, he said. I hope your friend comes alright. If he isn't here at 10, are you going to leave? I am not, said the other. I'll wait half an hour at least. If Jimmy is alive on Earth, he'll be here by that time. Good night, officer. Good night, said the cop, and walked away, trying doors as he went. There was now a cold rain falling and the wind was stronger. The few people walking along that street were hurrying, trying to keep warm, and at the door of the shop stood the man who had come 1,000 miles to meet a friend. Such meeting could not be certain, but he waited. After 20 minutes, he waited, and then a tall man in a long coat came hurrying across the street. He went directly to the watching man. Is that you, Bab? He asked doubtfully. Is that you, Jimmy Wells? Cried the man at the door. The new man took the other man's hands in his. It's Bob. It surely is. I was certain I would find you here if you were still alive. 20 years is a long time. The old restaurant is gone. Bob, I wish it were here so that we could have another dinner and eat. Has the West been good to you? It gave me everything I asked for. You've changed, Jimmy. I never thought you were so tall. Oh, I grow a little after I was 20. Are you doing well in New York, Jimmy? Well enough. I work for the city. Come on, Bob. We'll go to a place I know and have a good long talk about old times. The two men started along the street arm in arm. The man from the West was beginning to tell the story of his life. The other, with his coat up to his ears, listened with interest. At the corner stood a shop bright with electric lights. When they came near, each turned to look at the other's face. The man from the West stopped suddenly and pulled his arm away. You're not Jimmy Wells, he said. 20 years is a long time, but not long enough to change the shape of a man's nose. It sometimes changes a good man into a bad one, said the tall man. You've been under arrest for 10 minutes, Bob. Chicago cops thought you might be coming to New York. They told us to watch for you. Are you coming with me quietly? That's wise, but first, here is something I was asked to give you. You may read it here at the window. It's from a cop named Wells. The man from the West opened a little piece of paper. His hand began to shake a little as he read. Bob, I was at place on time. I saw the face of a man wanted by Chicago cops. I didn't want to arrest you myself, so I went and got another cop and sent him to do the job, Jimmy.
Story. So I have here sentences that was taken from the story, and everybody please read the sentences that So I want everyone to read these three sentences in the class. Please. So what did you notice in these three sentences? Or who is doing the action? Very good. The subject is the doer of the action. And that sentences are the example of the active voice. How about these two sentences? Everyone, please read. So, in these sentences, what did you notice? So, correct. So, in these two sentences, we don't know here who is doing the action. So, and those are the passive voice. So, do you understand? Okay, now that you have the initial understanding of what is the active and the passive voice from the activity that came from the story, this sentence that came from the story, what can be considered an active voice? So, correct. In active voice, the subject is the doer of the action. What about in the passive voice? Correct. Thank you. In the passive voice, we don't know which is the doer of the action. So, that was all my part.
Good afternoon, everyone, and I am Lily, and I will be your tutor today. Alright? Based on what you have observed and the sentence that you given, what are the characteristics of an active voice? Correct. In the active voice, the subject is the doer of the sentence. It is straightforward, with the subject clearly doing something. How about the characteristics of the passive voice? Very good. When we say passive voice, these are sentences where the subject receives the action rather than performing it. The focus is on the action and the object, not the doer. In the passive voice, the object of an active sentence becomes the subject of the passive sentence. Now that we have distinguished the different characteristics of an active voice from the passive voice, let's delve deeper to understand more about active and passive voice. What is an active voice? In active voice, the subject of the sentence does the action. Now, what is an active voice? In active voice, the subject of the sentence does the action. Here we have an example. The new man took the other man's hand. The new man, which is the subject, took the other man's hand. Took here is the verb, and the other man's hand is the object. This is an active sentence because the subject is doing the action, which is here took. Next is the passive voice. What is the passive voice? In passive voice, the object of the action becomes the subject, and the doer of the action may be left out or added at the end, but with by. Here we have the example of the sentence. You've been under arrest for 10 minutes. Here we have you as the subject and been under arrest as the verb. In this sentence, as you notice, there is no object because the object is the subject, wherein the subject is the one receiving the action, but it's also We don't know who is arresting you. It could be the cop or a citizen with the power of citizen's notice.
Alright, that we have known what is an active voice and passive voice, I will teach you how to transform them, the active, into a passive and vice versa. I am your teacher, Matthew, and now, as here, we have seen the man to the other man's hand. This is active voice. Now, we will transform it into a passive voice. Like how? As we can see there, the other man's hand is the object, but we will make it into a subject. We other man's hand is our subject. Now, take can begin is our verb because we took it. It already did the action. It's the verb. By the man, by the new man, by the new man, and this can serve as our object. This sentence is in the passive voice now because the other man's is our subject, taken is the verb, and the new man is the object because we don't know who is doing the action, but we know who is receiving, and the other man's is still unknown. It is answering the who question. Now we have learned how to transform an active voice into a passive voice. You will try how to transform an active voice into a passive voice. I didn't want to rest myself. Please write your answer in the comment down below. Very good, that was a nice answer. How about a passive into an active? You will learn that. So, we will learn passive into an active voice. Here is an example. A man was wanted by Chicago cops. What do you think? Is this a passive voice? Correct, because we don't know who wanted the man or who is doing the action because the man is the receiver. So we will now transform this into a active voice. Now we'll transform it into an active voice. The Chicago man. Now, do you think it's correct? Yes, it is. Because the Chicago box is our subject, wanted is our verb, and the man is our object. Because the Chicago cop is doing the action. The Chicago cop is wanting the man. Now we know who is doing the action, and that is an active voice. Now I want you to transform this sentence into an active voice. You've been under arrest for 10 minutes. Correct, very good everyone. Now we have learned how to transform an active voice to a passive voice and vice versa. You will now try your knowledge how to do an active and passive by our
Alright. So the instruction is, pick a theme from the list provided and write it on one sheet of paper and what aspect of the story with dialogue that's not less than 100 words and not more than 500 words when using active and passive voice. And these are the things that we'll be using or choose for your activity. You are free to choose whatever theme you choose. The first theme is friendship between me. Then next is trust and betrayal. People change and complacent. The path of commitment. Faith versus people. Honesty versus harmony. Alright. We got to move on to the value of the yes. And the one question that you produce in paper, write at least 5 panels and 500 words or voice intelligent in the story, which I have component as a description of the video that you use. Please proceed with the name if you want to with the subject B. And I think that's your words. Okay, and now that we finish that B, let's proceed to the second. Your assignment is to be the program the gift of matter by hope and identify the passage and active questions in the text. Thank you for listening, everyone, and see you all next time.